Welcome back to Lenz Comic Corner, Classics as Non-Classics. This is episode number 783 and Doubleshot number 677. Two Superman trades. First up, it is Superman Brainiac. This is a new printing of this classic story, which only came out I think it was less than a decade ago. This came out back in 2008. So yeah, this came out roughly 10 years ago. Yep. This collects issues 886 and 870 of Action Comics and a story from New Krypton Special. Now, this is basically the story of this one is Superman meeting the actual Brainiac. Yeah, they confirmed this is the definitive Brainiac, and those of you curious though, the creative team, it's Jeff Johns and Gary Frank, the same guys are currently doing Doomsday Clock and also did the awesomely series one shots Batman Earth 1, which I heard Volume 3 is come out soon. I heard that about a couple years ago, I think it was. They say it was coming out, but I haven't heard anything about it. Mostly put, yeah, when you first see Brainiac, yeah, he's kind of like this. This is actually from one of the covers. And despite the fact it says Superman New Krypton Special, this technically does not collect it at all, and I've checked it. It's just the epilogue for the story. Also, during the course of the story, Jonathan Kent dies of a heart attack. I've heard a rumor. The reason why that Jeff Johns did this is because Jonathan Kent died on Smallville, so they integrated how he died in Smallville into the comic via a heart attack. The difference is Jonathan Kent was a much more older guy in the comics than he was in the TV show. In the TV show, he looks like he's probably in his 40s or 50s. Here, he looks like he's in his 60s. But Superman does free 2 bottle cities in here from Brainiac's ship. One, of course, is Kandor. We'll talk about Kandor in another trade right here, which is a completely different Kandor. Yeah, he gets Kandor and, of course, Metropolis, which that also been shrunk. Though, later on in the last New Krypton storyline, actually, it was just, at one point, he does get his hands on all the rest of the cities in Brainiac's ship, and just returns them all to where they're supposed to go. Oh, a lot of them, anyways. You also get a chance to meet, Superman himself gets a chance to meet his aunt and uncle, Zor-El, and I think his wife, who was also the mother of Supergirl. I think her name was Laura. Yeah. And Superman points out, though, that this was actually his father because the voice sounds very similar. Nope. He says, nope, I'm your father's brother, Zor-El. Yeah, Supergirl does play a pretty good part here as well. This is a really good epic story. So over the course of 5 issues, which actually is not that bad. Though this particular story will be just set up for a 2-year, I would say a little over 2-year, let's say era for Superman, with the whole Return of the Kandorians thing. But this is really good, and I don't know if my friend Tivi's ever reviewed this, but this is a really damn good story. I'm going to give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. Also, they bring in Steve Lampert. Yeah, they bring him in. He's from the he's from the Bronze Age. I think this is his first post-Christ appearance. I think so, but I can't exactly confirm that. I'm going to give this one 9.5 out of 10. Next up, it is Superman Blue, Volume 1. Collecting this particular saga, which I heard one particular person didn't like this particular era of Superman very much. Yeah, I'm not going to mention his name, but he didn't really thought this was a good idea to jump at this point, so he waited till this era was over with. Alright, this particular book collects Superman Volume 2, issues 122, 125, Action Comics 732, 734, Adventures Superman 545 to 547, Superman Man of Steel 676, and Superman number 9. Yeah, I say this is going to be the first of 4 volumes to collect this era. And the writers of these issues are the following. When I get the right page here, we have Dan Jorgens, who writes the Superman issues. Carl Kitzler does Adventures Superman. The Action Comics issues done by Dave Michelini. And Louise Simonson does, of course, Superman of Steel. Yeah, she was a writer for that book for a majority of the series run. Organized by Ron Fritz, Stuart Inman, who actually was known recently for doing all new X-Men for about 2 years, Scott Eden, Tom Gurmett, John Bogdov, and Sean Sheen. Jen Jurgens, Joe Robinson, who's actually one of the anchors in here, and Patrick Martin is the who does this cover. The original series cover is done by Ron Fritz, Joe Rubinson, Patrick Martin, Stuart Immonen, Jose Martinez Jr. Of course, Patrick Martin is like all of them, along with Tom Gormit, Dennis Rutter, John Badov, Dennis Gaki, and Glenn Orbeck. Yeah, the story of this one is that Superman is developing new powers, and it's getting to be completely out of control. At one point, they have Ron Turpin, Turtle, I think his name is. Yeah, he's a black reporter who kind of is the owner of Daily Planet. And at one point, they had to fire Clark Kent because he couldn't show up for work. So Perry steps up, becomes new editor-in-chief again. And those who are curious to who actually developed this suit. This is not made by Superman. No, this suit is actually made by Lex Luthor of all people. Yes. His company develops the suit to sort of contain his powers, and it really helps him. Though for some reason, it turned his skin blue. Yeah, I have no idea why. At one point, they said to have him split the two, the whole red and blue Superman thing. But this is, of course, really good. They also, I should bring up, though, the whole thing with Kandor, like I mentioned with this. Kandor at this point in time was not a city full of Kryptonians. No, this was a city full of descendants of prisoners from a guy called Telos. No, it's not the same guy from Convergence. This is a completely different guy. Yeah, it's not the same guy from Convergence. This is a different character. And basically, these are the descendants of people he was basically a prisoner. Let's see if I can find him here. Yeah, when they show the Battle City Kandor. Let's see if I can find it here. I know that they did show in here what the guy looks like, but when I looked at him, like, yeah, this is not the Telos I know of. Yeah, this is him right here in the corner. Yeah, that's him. That's Telos. Yeah, not the one from Convergence. This is a completely different character. I gotta say, for someone who didn't read this when it came, I read some of this online, and I own some. I actually read some of this in the store, but not, of course, was coming out, of course, when in the last several years. But this is really, really good. I highly recommend this to people who are fans of Superman to check out this particular thing. Like, give it a look, even if you didn't like this originally. Oh, there's something I gotta point out though. They even did this for Death of Superman issues as well. On the covers, they had this thing for throughout the 90s, from like I think it was like 92 to about 2000. They had these diamonds on the covers. From what I've heard, from what I looked up, this went on to about 2002 when they officially stopped doing this. Yeah, it's basically there to give a read order exactly what books of Superman you should read in order. I kind of think they should have done this with Batman, but they never did. Nope, they never did this with Batman. Yeah, and this started with Superman with issue 43, and the last official issue releases number was in fact Superman. They include some one-shots, there's even some point ones type of thing, where they include some of the crossovers that involve Superman. But this is really good. Now, this costume after the saga disappeared. It wasn't seen again actually until the arc that actually for Action Comics that came out just before, actually was Superman, that came out just before Flashpoint happened, and that was during the whole year-long storyline that JMS started, which he had to leave halfway through because he was asked to do the Superman Earth 1 trades. And that was the time when Superman walked across America. And from what I've heard, he basically, the place he was going was kind of like a zigzag that better. Yeah. And toward the end of it, basically, he had Livewire turn good, and he actually gave her this very costume, though she changed the S to an L for Livewire. Yep. But this is really good. I highly recommend you gotta check it out. If this was a traceable at Marvel comic, now this basically is sold by DC Comics for $25. But for something this length, Marvel might have sold this for about $35 for something this particular length. For a book that contains, let's see, 4 plus 3, that's 7, 10, 13. For something that contains 14 comic books, yeah, Marvel would probably charge a lot more. Probably charge about $30-$40 for this thing. But DC is a lot more cheaper. Okay, I'm going to give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. I like the Artivia's thoughts on this thing when he gets a chance to get their hands on these particular trades. I don't know if he ever read Superman at this particular point in time. I know he's a fan of Superman. But I wonder what he thought at this particular era for Superman. Me, I didn't have a really big problem with it. I read this entire era, and it's a really interesting little era for Superman to have. And this came roughly about, I think it was about 5 years after the events of Death of Superman, so it was interesting. Okay, but that's really it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode, where I'm going to do 2 Spider-Man trades. Okay, but to see you next episode. Bye.